Okay, everyone see that? Everyone with me? Okay, so the answer to number 1B is Ollie has reversion. Okay? Everyone with me? All right, let's try question 2. I'm not even going to try the clicker because it's going to give me difficulty. And again, I apologize in advance. I've been having problems with the software for the last couple of days. This will be for Camille in a minute. Okay, so here's your question. From Ollie to Alex for life, comma, then to Baker and her heirs. What future interest does Baker have? Okay. A vested remainder. B, a contingent remainder. Or none of the above, the one that lessons hate the most. Because it always creates doubt in your head, right? There's always doubt. None of the above. All right, just write an answer down your notes. I apologize, I don't have the software working. All right, another 10, 15 seconds. Okay, Camille, we've done this question 100 times before, right? What does Baker have? Okay, now comes the hard part. Why? Okay, so first, why is it a remainder? Just let's go through that.
Because remainder is the future interest follows the natural termination of present interest.
Excellent. Very good. Okay. Now, why is it a vested remainder? That's the hard part.
It's vested because the remainder is not subject to a condition precedent.
Good.
And the remainder is given to an ascertained.
Perfect answer. Good. It's not subject to a condition precedent. It follows naturally, immediately upon death. And it goes to a third party. In this case, Baker. Good. Now, finish it up, Camille. Does Ollie have any interest here? Interest Baker's vested remainder?
No.
Why not?
Because Ollie gave Alex the simple.
Say that again. Why does Ollie have any interest following Baker here? Well, after Alex's death, what interest does Baker have? In. Okay. Is there any circumstance which Ollie gets Blackacre back? No. So does Ollie have any future interest? No, that's correct. When you have a vested remainder, that's the end of the line, right? Nothing else comes back after that, right? There's no reversion following a vested remainder. You can take that rule somewhat to the bank. There's no reversion after a vested remainder. All right. Everyone get those first two questions? Again, I can't see grading because you're all doing it on your notes, but if you get these wrong, come talk to me right away. All right? These are all old questions. There's nothing new. Right? We've done these already. I mean, if you've noticed, when I start a class, I usually take a couple questions from the prior class. So I'm basically refreshing. This is so if you're not knowing the answer, you didn't know it last class either. All right, number 3 you've actually seen before. I'm not going to tell you where you've seen it. Maybe you'll figure it out on your own based on the names. But number 3 you've seen before. It's for Cooper. Let's see. Maybe I can get a poll working here. Let's see if this works. Let's see if I get lucky. Is it on your thing? Yeah? Okay. All right, so let me read it to you. Question number 3, and this is 3A. From John to Anna for life, comma. Then to Anna's children and their heirs, comma. But if Anna dies without children, then to John's grandchildren and their heirs, period. I tell you that Anna has no children. That's an important fact. So the question 3A, what future interest does Anna's children have? A vested remainder? A vested remainder subject to open? Contingent remainder? Contingent remainder subject to open? And none of the above. And I see no one responds. I'm guessing it's not working. All right, well, whatever. Wasted my time. Okay. Take another 20 seconds and just write the answer in your notes. All right, Cooper, let's walk through this, right? So we know at the beginning that Anna has a life estate. That's the easy part, right? How do we characterize the future interest for Anna's children? We keep in mind Anna has no children at the present time.
It would be a vested remainder.
What's the definition of remainder?
A future interest that follows the natural termination of the present interest.
Yeah, I speak louder.
It'd be a reversion.
Oh boy. What's the definition of remainder?
Future interest that follows the natural termination of the present interest and that goes to a third party.
Okay. What's going on here?
A remainder.
Which one is it?
Remainder.
Why?
Because the kids are a third party.
Okay, and it follows what?
The natural termination of the interest.
Which is?
The fee simple of
Anna does not have a fee simple. Try it again.
a life estate.
So it's from beginning. Why do the children have remainder?
Because it follows it's a future interest that follows the natural termination of the life estate.
And goes to?
That is true.
Okay, goes to a third party. All right, so it's remainder. And all the options are remainder. So reversion could possibly be the answer, unless you had none of the above, which was not correct. All right, Cooper, let's stay with you. How do we know if it's vested or contingent? What are our tests? Where are you looking? I'm not sure where you're looking. I'm right here. All right, this is our wake-up class. All right, we have one of these every year. Usually comes around this time of year. Gabe, how do we know if this is contingent or vested or remainder? What are our tests?
Condition precedent, or if there is not an ascertained person.
Okay, so we have two criteria. Is there a condition precedent? And is the remainder an ascertained? Okay? Is there a condition precedent here, Gabe? What's a condition precedent? Do you see a condition precedent stated there, written? Did I write any sort of condition there? I know you're inferring one, but is one actually written there? Okay. Then to Anna's children and their heirs, comma. What did I say about punctuation? What's a condition precedent? What's a condition precedent? For the what? Where does this phrase "but if" appear? Yeah. Astrid, where does the condition appear? Okay, but does it appear in the same place as the remainder? The same clause as the remainder? It follows. So what kind of condition is that? The condition precedent? You're on the track. The condition follows remainder, right? With the condition precedent, does the condition come before or after the remainder? No, before. Okay. By the way, this is the conveyance from Baker versus Whedon, right? It's in your notes. Literally, it's in your notes that I gave you. So that's why I'm so much frustrated. If you'd read those, you would know the answer. A lot of students ask me at resources. I give you a lot of stuff which you're not using, right? Whatever else you're using is obviously not working. So use the stuff I give you. Let's look at this very carefully. I'll make it bigger. If you can't see it, I'll make it a little bit bigger. From John to Anna for life, comma. Then to Anna's children and their heirs. Okay? We have a remainder. It follows the natural termination of Anna's life estate. Is there actually a condition in that clause? The answer is no. There's no condition there. There's no condition there. The condition comes later after the comma. I've told you 100 times, look at the punctuation, right? A condition precedent means a condition comes before the remainder. That condition comes after. In your reading for the fee simple subject condition, subsequent, right? Subsequent. This is subsequent means after. All right. This is a remainder. There's no condition precedent. Okay. So Diddy, I'll come back to you. What are the two tests for whether you have a contingent remainder? There are two tests. Okay, good. Is there a condition precedent here? No, there's not. Okay, what's the second test for condition precedent? Ascertain first. Thank you so much. Are the children ascertained?
Yeah. Oh.
What did I tell you? Does she have any kids?
No.
No. They're not ascertained. So is this remainder contingent or vested? That's correct. The reason why this remainder is contingent, okay? The reason why this remainder is contingent is because she has no children. They're not ascertained. They're not born. They don't exist. This is a contingent remainder. It's not vested, it's contingent. So choices A and B are out. Everyone with me? Again, pay attention to the grammar. There's no condition precedent. The word if does not appear in the same clause where the children's remainder comes from. Everyone get that? I'm sorry they get angry, but it gets very frustrating. A lot of time put into this, right? I could do this in 1 or 2 classes. I put 5 classes for this topic for precisely the reason. And there were 6 pages of reading? 7 pages of reading today? Ben.
I'm a little confused because I guess from the reading right here it says it's vested, subject to open.
I'm not there yet.
Okay.
And you're not, that's not correct. I'll tell you why, okay? Anna has no kids, so it's contingent. Now, I'm going to ask you, what does subject to open mean?
That's why I'm confused. But in the book, it says subject to open, appointed born children are entitled to share.
But what must be true for it to be a vested remainder in the first place?
No condition.
No. Go back to your notes from last class. All right, this was example. I don't remember what the example was. Was it 1D or 1F? I can't remember which one it was. Yes. Let's finish this question. Ben, you can answer it. Is this remainder subject to open?
Yes,
Why?
because the later born children would be entitled to the gift.
Is there such a thing as a contingent remainder subject to open?
I guess not, no.
No. A vested remainder only works if a child is ascertained. Then is a child ascertained here?
No,
No, there's no ascertained child. There's no ascertained child here, it cannot be a vested remainder. And choice D over here is kind of a red herring, to try and trick you. There's no contingent remainder subject to open. That doesn't exist. That's not a thing. The answer is C, right? It's contingent because the child is not ascertained. There are no living children. Had there been one living child, it'd be a vested remainder subject to open. But there's no living child here. You okay with that, Ben?
I mean, I'm still confused, because I mean, it says like, if later born children.
But there has to be a vested remainder in the first place.
The-
No, I'm talking about. There has to be a child, to get to a vested remainder subject to open, there has to be a vested remainder in the first place. There's no vested remainder here at all. Now, you understand?
Yeah.
Okay. You only get to a vested remainder subject to open if it's a vested remainder in the first place. You cannot have contingent remainder subject to open. You're still not happy with that, I think. You're still shaking your head.
No, I understand.
No, but you can say but. I heard them muttering but.
No, I'm just confused.
What do you?
No, I'm with you now.
No, if you're confused, I'll understand. The reason why a vested remainder is subject to open is it's a vested remainder in the first place. You only have a vested remainder if at least one child is ascertained. In this question, there's no ascertained child, therefore it can't be a vested remainder. Okay? Good. All right. So the answer is C. It's a contingent remainder. If you go back to the Baker Whedon chapter summary, I worked through this in detail. All right. I think Maria is next. So Maria, let's talk about John's grandchildren. All right. And all of you, just write down your note in your notes what your answer is. What interests does John's grandchildren have? Vested remainder subject to open, contingent remainder subject to open. And again, the first remainder was a contingent remainder. What did the grandchildren have?
I would say first of all that it's a remainder.
That's correct. Why is it remainder?
It's a future interest that follows the natural termination of John's personal interest and goes to third parties.
Correct. Okay. Now is remainder contingent or vested?
I would say contingent because it's subject to condition precedent.
Exactly. What's a condition precedent?
And it's a condition, so if Anna dies without children.
Right. What words tell you this condition precedent?
Yeah, but if
What if? And why is this precedent and not subsequent or subsequent?
because it comes after the comma
Good.
regarding Anna's interest, but before John's interest.
Period. For the period. Exactly right. You look at the punctuation. But I can't reach that high. Right. But if is before the remainder. Right. It comes before then to the grandchildren. This is a condition precedent. Now, Maria, are the grandchildren ascertained? Are they identified as the real people?
I would assume they are,
Yes.
because we have no information.
You know what? Smart student. Yeah, I didn't give you the information. I should have told you the grandchildren are alive. Right. I forgot to mention that. Very good. Good. You caught me. So they're ascertained, right? Well, I'm telling you they're alive. Okay. But is there a condition precedent?
Yeah.
Correct. Therefore, it's contingent remainder. Now, last one. Is contingent remainder subject to open? Maybe more grandkids are born?
I was a bit confused by the question from the other side of the room, but I would say that you can't have a contingent remainder subject to.
Correct. That doesn't exist. It's not a thing. You only have a vested remainder subject to open. There's no such thing as contingent remainder subject to open. Why? Because it's a contingency, right? We don't know what that remainder will look like. So correct. The answer here again is C. This is a pairing. Remember I told you about the pairing. When the first future interest is a contingent remainder, the second one will probably be contingent as well. Everyone got that? Good job, Maria. And she caught me. She was exactly right. Did not tell you if the grandchildren were alive. Linda.
Why is it called the ultimate or the ultimate?
That's just a name law professors give it. It's not a real actual thing, but when you have one, you have another. They're called alternative contingent remainder. Because it's either going to be A or B, right? That's the alternative. It's either going to be the children get it or the grandchildren get it. Those are the alternatives. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah, Lillian.
So you always tell us whether or not this has to
Well, probably. I might give you a very confusing fact pattern where maybe someone's not born, maybe they're in the womb. Maria was 100% correct. I did not tell her about the grandchildren, so she caught me in one. That's good. I will add that to my question for next year. The grandchildren. John has 3 grandchildren, and that makes it better. Very good. Yeah, when I write an exam question, I'm a little bit more diligent than for these poll questions, but I like to think through everything. And no matter how much I think through a question, some student says, "You forgot this." I'm like, It was very frustrating, but good job. Okay. All right, we're 30 minutes in on just review. I can tell we can't do this anymore, right? This should be in your sleep. If it's not, we got a problem. What do I want to do? All right, let's move on to new material. All right, everyone, if this is not like second nature, reread document 12A, the vested remainder, contingent remainder chapter. Right? This should just be second nature at this point. I can't do this again for another class. All right. All right, because now we're moving on to, I think, what's an even harder topic, which is defeasible estates. All right, so far, we've learned 2 types of present interests, right? The fee simple and the life estate. And we've studied 2 types of future interests, the remainder and the reversion. And within remainder, we have different kinds of remainders. We have the vested remainder and we have the contingent remainder. Right? Moving on to a different type of present interest that comes with different types of future interests. When I say you have to memorize things, I mean that sincerely, right? You're going to need to memorize these types of present future interests because you're not going to be able, you can't figure that on your own. All right, so first off, we have this word, which the book never actually defines, which drives me crazy every semester. Defeasible. What the hell does defeasible mean, right? They don't even define it. I wish they would. Defeasible means something that can be terminated, right? Something that can be terminated. When we say a fee simple or fee simple absolute, it will never terminate, right? It goes on forever. You have complete control over all future interests, right? So when we say a fee simple or fee simple absolute, what we're saying is you have complete control over it. It will never terminate. But there's also something called a fee simple defeasible. Right? A fee simple defeasible. A fee simple defeasible is a category of present interests. It's a category of present interests that can be cut short. Right? We've not done this before. It's always been from O to A for life. Poor Alex gets killed every class, right? From O to A for life, there's going to be a death. It's going to happen sooner or later, but it's going to happen. But it will not happen a minute before. Both a fee simple defeasible, it can happen early. It can happen early. And it happens early if some condition happens. Right? Again, we've done conditions, but it's always after a life estate, after a natural termination, after the present interest ends naturally. The topic today is when the present interest does not end naturally. When the present interest ends through a condition. That's what a fee simple defeasible is. Okay. Now we've defined remainder and reversion as future interests that follow a natural termination, right? Can a remainder reversion follow a fee simple defeasible? No. This is why that definition is so important. This is why I was yelling at poor Max and Cooper, right? A remainder and reversion can only follow a natural termination. A remainder and reversion cannot follow a fee simple defeasible. That's why I'm harping on that point so much. If the present interest does not end naturally, it cannot be followed by a remainder or reversion. It's something else, which we'll study today. There are different types of future interests. The fee simple defeasible. It's not going to be reversion and not going to be remainder. You're going to want to say reversion and remainder. You're going to want to do it, right? Because it feels so natural. You've done this now for a week, and you're going to get tripped up. So I make such a big deal over those two elements. Follows natural termination, goes to a third party. Because if you skip the first step, you get all these questions wrong. You'll get every question wrong because it's remainder. And I can't help you at that point. So we're here. We're here, and we're moving forward. Okay. Everyone with me? All right. Example number 1A. It's on the screen. It says, Ollie gives Blackacre to Alex for a specific purpose. Operate a school on Blackacre. But if a school is no longer operating on Blackacre, the Blackacre goes back to Ollie. Now, many of you might look at this and say, oh, wow, it goes back to Ollie. That means it's a reversion, right? Wrong. Wrong. If you say, oh, it goes back to Ollie, reversion, you're wrong. The reason why is there's not a natural termination. There's a condition that Blackacre is supposed to be operated for school purposes. Okay? And if that condition is violated, even if Alex is still alive, see, Alex, you're not dying in this class. You're alive, but you're screwing up. You're not using it as a school, right? Even if Alex remains alive and kicking, but this property is not used for purposes of school use, Alex loses it. And it goes back to Ollie. This is what we call a fee simple defeasible. It's a type of a fee simple that can end during a person's life on the condition being violated. In this example, 1A, Ollie does not give the full bundle 6 to Alex. It's not a fee simple absolute. Ollie keeps a stick for himself. He has future interest. It's not a reversion. Okay. By the way, I don't like saying fee simple absolute because I think it actually makes it more confusing with defeasible. That's why I never use it. But if you want to use it, you're welcome to. I think it makes it more complicated. But you're welcome to. Okay. Everyone with me? All right. So there are 3 types of fee simple defeasibles. There are 3 defeasibles. These terminology are going to make your head hurt, but you got to bear with me. There's the fee simple subject to condition subsequent. The first one we'll do. Fee simple subject condition subsequent. And again, subsequent, after. Not precedent, subsequent. You're going to get confused between condition precedent and condition subsequent. Everyone does it. Be careful. I'll probably do it myself, but just be very careful. Okay. Fee simple subject to condition subsequent. The second one is called the fee simple determinable. The fee simple, determinable. You see the track, right? Defeasible and determinable is like the same damn word. I swear, it's like this topic was created to make law students miserable. I do have sympathy for you, not a lot, but I do have some sympathy for you. I mean, after the first class, I give you my sympathy declines. But you're going to want to confuse defeasible, determinable. Defeasible is the umbrella, right? It's the category, right? Defeasible is the category that these all fall under. Determinable is just one type of defeasible fee. And then the third one, which we'll do in class Tuesday, is the simple subject to an executory limitation. A fee simple subject to an executory limitation. Everyone with me? We'll do 1 and 2 today, and we'll do number 3 next week. Number 3 is the worst. It's much worse. 1 and 2 I can handle at least one class. Number 3 we'll do a whole entire class to it. Everyone with me, guys? I know I'm throwing a lot at you. The readings are very short for that reason. I'm giving you a lot of time to think about these issues. I'm not like I could have. There are some professors who just crammed this into one class, basically 30 pages in one class. Like, it's good luck, right? So we're really stretching this out. All right, so let's go on to example 1B. And this is a bit of a review. I think Monica, you're next. So look at example 1B, Monica. What interest does Baker have here in 1B? This is just review. Okay, why is it a remainder, Monica?
Because it's a future interest that follows the natural termination of the last
And goes
to a third person.
correct. Okay. Now, what kind of remainder is it? Vested or contingent?
Vested.
Why is it vested?
Because it's not subject to a condition precedent and the remainder was given to an ascertained person.
Well, for sure, Baker's ascertained. But is there a condition precedent here?
Well, it is Alex has to die.
Not just Alex has to die. Read it. Read it out, please.
Blackacre from Ollie to Alex.
Comma. Okay, go on.
Then to Baker and his heirs if Baker.
There it is. So want to revise your answer?
Yes, so it's a contingent remainder.
Because?
It's a condition precedent that
Yeah.
Baker survived.
But specifically, why is the condition precedent and not a condition subsequent?
Because it's before the remainder.
Correct. Before the remainder kicks in, you have to see the condition satisfied, right? Baker will only get it if you're still alive. And again, if you don't fully get that, that's fine. But look at the grammar, right? The word if appears in the same clause between the comma and the period, right over here. I'll make this scroll so you can actually see it, right? The word if appears right in the clause. You need to pay attention to where the language appears. Go back up to the example I gave you a few minutes ago, right? Here, then to Anna's children, their heirs. There's no if in that clause. It comes later for the second remainder. But for the first remainder, there's no condition precedent. Everyone see that? Okay, very good. You need to know what a condition is in order to know what a condition subsequent is not, right? They're different. You have a condition precedent or precedent, if you will, or condition subsequent. You have to distinguish them because the difference is one might be a remainder, another one might be a fee simple subject condition subsequent. Depending where the condition comes in, you might have a different interest altogether. And if you don't believe me, look at some of the old midterms, the old finals. I can get very tricky with how I lay these out. Or put the but if in just the right place. I'm not going to screw you on the comma. I always put the comma carefully. You have to read very carefully where the commas appear. I'm very careful with the commas. I I will not mess you on that part because I think that's unfair. But I will definitely trip you up on other things. All right, everyone with me? All right, so that's correct. It's a contingent remainder, and also Baker's ascertained. All right, let's go on. All right, so let's do example number. Example 1C. All right, so I have this conveyance. Zara, please. So it says Blackacre from Ollie to Alex, comma. But if Alex does not use Blackacre for school purposes, Ollie has a right to re-enter Blackacre. All right, Sarah, so help us out. Does Alex have a life estate here?
She did before the comma.
Do you see a life estate in 1C?
Yes, contingent.
Well, hold on. Where do you see a life estate? No. It says Blackacre from Alex, Ollie to Alex, comma. Right? You're looking at 1C. I'm sorry, you're looking. You know what? You're looking at one over here. I'm sorry, I meant 1C up there. So start again. Where do you so? I'm sorry. Take another 10 seconds. I'm sorry. I have 2 1s in the screen. That's not fair. The perils of projectors. Okay, I'm gonna just. Okay, there we go. Better. Sorry about that. If anyone else, I apologize. So try this one again, Zara. Where's she seeing? My goodness. What does Alex have here? Does she have a life estate?
No, she has a fee simple subject to conditions subsequent.
Okay, so you gave me the correct answer. I want to walk through that. So what if we just had Zara? This conveyance, it said Blackacre from Ollie to Alex for life, period. Right? I put a period after Alex. What would she have?
For what?
No, this exact conveyance, I just put a period after Alex.
That's fee simple.
Correct. Okay, everyone with me. If I simply put a period after Alex, it's a fee simple. We don't need to say and her heirs. That's not necessary. You can do it, but it's not necessary. If I just wrote from Ollie to Alex, period, it'll be a fee simple. You need to look at the commas. From Ollie to Alex, comma, what's there? Simple. And then we get to the comma, right? This is not going to be a fee simple absolute because there's some condition on that fee simple. And where does that condition appear? After the comma, subsequent to the comma. It's a condition that appears subsequent to the fee simple. So we say there's a fee simple subject to a condition subsequent. Alex has a present interest in fee simple subject to a condition subsequent. Alex has a present interest in fee simple subject to a condition subsequent. Again, you need to look at the commas. So you go Blackacre from Ollie to Alex, comma. That tells you fee simple, but you're not done. What comes after the comma? The condition. Alex has to keep it for school purposes. The condition comes after or subsequent to the fee simple. So we say it's a fee simple that's subject to a condition subsequent. It's a mouthful. Fee simple subject to condition subsequent. Do not abbreviate it as FSSCS. Did anyone already do that in your notes? Don't do it, please. You're going to forget what it stands for. Write it out every time. I'm going to do it in my notes when I'm on the board. Don't abbreviate it. FSSCS, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. The important point is it's a condition subsequent, right? It comes after the comma. If you abbreviate it, you will forget that point. All right, the most important phrase is it's a fee simple that's subject to the condition after the condition subsequent. Okay. Again, this is a fee simple defeasible. What type of fee simple defeasible? It's the first one, the fee simple subject to condition subsequent. This estate can be terminated. It can be cut short. When? If the property is no longer used for school purposes. Okay. Everyone with me so far? We're not done. We have to account for the future interest as well. There's no reversion here, right? It cannot be reversion. Even though the future interest goes back to the grantor, it does not follow a natural termination. This is why, again, I was being so mean to Cooper and Max was trying to make a point, right? This cannot be reversion because it does not follow natural termination. It follows a condition. Okay? What happens to Blackacre after the property is used for, say, industrial purposes? Sorry. What do we call the future interest that follows the fee simple subject condition subsequent? What's the contingent remainder?
Contingent remainder is based on condition given to a unnatural person and subject to conditions present.
Okay, what's the remainder?
A remainder is a future interest that someone has in property
That follows.
that follows a condition.
No, what's the remainder? 100 times.
A future interest that follows the termination of the present interest.
What kind of present interest?
Uh,
What kind of termination, I should say?
Natural.
Natural. The remainder is a future interest that follows a natural termination. Is there a natural termination here, Tim?
No,
What kind of termination is there?
there's the condition subsequent.
Can a remainder follow?
No.
Why not?
Condition precedent.
You're twisting things. What must a remainder follow? Brock?
A natural termination.
A natural termination. Can a remainder follow a condition? No. So what follows a fee simple subject to condition subsequent?
The right of entry.
How do you know that? Or even closer to the book, you're right, but even closer to the book, read the sentence on the screen. What does it say? What does it say? It says it. It's right there. The answer is right in front of your faces. It's right there. It says always the right of entry. It's right. It's staring you in the face after the comma. It's right there. The present interest is the fee simple subject condition subsequent. It tells you right there in black and white that Ollie has a future interest. Ollie has a future interest in right of entry or right of reentry. It's called different things. I'll use both of them interchangeably, but right of entry, right of reentry. Okay, it says it right there. I will always, I should say always, unless I'm trying to really mess with you, I will usually tell you right there what it is, unless it's a really messy question. But whether or not I tell you, you'll need to know this pairing. You need to memorize this. If the present interest is a fee simple subject to condition subsequent, there's a pairing. The future interest is the right of entry. If the present interest is a fee simple subject to condition subsequent, the future interest is a right of entry. Always a pairing. The same way that reversion, can go with a life estate, can be reversion or remainder, there can be either or. No. Here there has to be a pairing. If the present interest is the fee simple subject to condition subsequent, the future interest is right of entry. And again, it's right there. I mean, it's on the screen. I don't have to. I'm not hiding the ball. The ball is in your face. Will. It's implied unless otherwise, but it would be a right of entry in fee simple. It's usually implied, but yes, that would be correct. All right. Again, you have to go comma by comma. Blackacre from Ollie to Alex, comma. If you stop right here, that's a fee simple. We go to the next clause. But if Alex does not use Blackacre for school purposes, that's a condition involving only Alex. Notice there's no Baker here, right? There's no Baker. We always have Baker. No Baker here. There's a condition subsequent. Condition comes after the comma. Fee simple, subject to condition subsequent. Comma. We get to the future interest. It says it right there. Ollie is a future interest, right of re-entry in Blackacre. Everyone is going with me. And yes, Brock, it is in the book. I appreciate that answer. But even better than in the book, it's on the screen. Right? It's even closer. Oh, actually, the book's right close to your face, but the screen's pretty close. I don't have a book. This book's here. All right. I know this class is not pleasant. It's getting a little harsh. I have to be a little mean today. I don't like it, but you need to get the point. I said this before. If it's not clicking, come see me last week. A bunch of you did. Probably maybe 8 or 10 of you actually came to see me, which is good. But there's 70 or 80 of you that did not. All right. Now, let me explain how this right of entry works, right? When you say a right of entry, that means you have to actually go to court. Residential property, right? It's not used for school use anymore. Ollie would have to actually go to court and sue Alex and say, you violated that condition. You violated that condition. And the court will say, yes, you are not using Blackacre for residential purposes. That's not a school purpose. Blackacre now belongs to Ollie. But the point of the right of entry is you don't have to exercise it. What if Ollie doesn't care anymore? Right? Maybe Ollie just doesn't care. Blackacre doesn't come back to him. You have to take the initiative and go to court first. Now, what happens if, we'll say, Ollie dies? His heirs will inherit the right of entry. Right? Ollie's heirs will inherit that right of entry. So really, forever and ever and ever, there's going to be someone in the Ollie family sitting around waiting to watch Blackacre to make sure it's being used properly. Right? These are a form of control, right? Not controlling your land, but controlling someone else's land. And even if it's like your great-great-grandson floating around, he can then enforce the right of entry because he inherits it from Ollie. Can you sell a right of entry? Can you convey a right of entry? At common law, the answer was no. This is the Marinholtz case we have for reading. Right? We'll come back to that later. I hope we have time for it. We may not. But in the Marinholtz case, you say you cannot sell a right of entry at common law. You're not allowed to. You can only inherit it. Again, with a right of entry, it's not automatic. There has to be some action taken. Shadi, is that a hand or a finger? Yeah. Inter vivos, you can't sell during life. If he acts upon it, gets fee simple, then he gets fee simple, do whatever he wants. All right. Now, when I say a fee simple subject to condition subsequent, I use these words but if. Right? But if. There are other words we can use, right? We could use, I'll go back up here. But if, provided, however, on the condition that, etc. These are words that discuss conditions. But if, provided, however, etc. If you see one of these four words, you need to just flag in your head fee simple, subject, condition, subsequent. Right? It's not always going to be that, but that's going to be your first guess if you're not sure. Okay. Next, we're going to do another type of present interest, which is the fee simple determinable. Again, do not confuse the feasible with determinable. They're different concepts. If you tell me there's a fee simple defeasible, that's not enough, right? The fee simple defeasible is sort of the umbrella, the category. And the fee simple determinable is just one type of a fee simple defeasible. Oh my God, that's a tongue twister. A fee simple determinable is a type of fee simple defeasible. And I think I said that right? Yeah. Okay, good. Just keep that in your notes straight. So the fee simple subject to condition subsequent uses conditional language. The fee simple determinable uses durational language. So for example, so long as, while, until. Fee simple determinable uses durational language. So long as, while, or until. Everyone with me? Let's look at example. What number is it? 2. Okay, Tyler. So let's walk through this one. It says, Blackacre from Ollie to Alex, comma. So long as Blackacre is used for school purposes. All right. So let's just go again from the beginning to the comma. Tyler, if it just stopped here, it said Blackacre from Ollie to Alex, period. That was it. What would we have? Be simple. Do we have a period there? Yeah. We have a comma. All right. So we know some type of fee simple. We just know what kind of fee simple it is. What kind of fee simple do we have here? Correct. Alex has a present interest in fee simple determinable. Okay. Alex has a present interest fee simple determinable. If Alex uses Blackacre as a school forever and ever and ever, right, to infinity and beyond, right, it will always be owned by Alex or Alex's heirs. But Tyler, what happens if Alex turns into residential property? Correct. And what happens to Blackacre? Goes back to Ollie. Now, in 1C, I tell you what happens, right? It's Ollie's right of entry. Am I nice if I tell you what happens to it in 1D and number 2? Okay, that's right. When you have a fee simple determinable, it's not customary to write out what happens in the future. I could not tell you why. Actually, I can, but it's not a very good reason, right? With a fee simple subject condition subsequent, this is 1C, you always spell out what happens in the future. With a fee simple determinable, you do not spell out what happens in the future. You have to just draw an inference. You have to just maybe understand what happens. Right? Kyle, what do you call the future interest that follows a fee simple determinable?
Possibility of reverter.
Exactly. Possibility of reverter. Okay? So we say that Ollie has a possibility of reverter. It's in fee simple here. My goodness. Reversion and possibility reverter. How many of you are going to confuse those? A lot of you. I've been warning you about this for a week now. That's why it's so such a stickler for what a reversion is. If you don't get the definition right, you're going to forget. 1 second, Kyle, I promise. Ollie has a possibility reverter, and it's in fee simple. Right? You need to memorize the pairing. If the present interest is a fee simple determinable, if the present interest is fee simple determinable, the future interest is a possibility of reverter. I'm sorry, your hand was up. Good. Okay, I like when that happens. Right? So you have these pairings, right? You have fee simple, subject, condition subsequent, matches with right of entry. That's the first pairing. And the second pairing, I did it, damn it. The second pairing is a fee simple determinable matches up with a possibility of reverter. It's so easy to mix those up. And I just did it. Look, I've been doing this now for a long time. You have to just really check yourself at every juncture to get it right. Why? Because there are going to be some questions where you might know what the future interest is, but you don't know what the present interest is. You have to work backwards. Like they did in this case, right? Marinholtz. There are going to be some cases where it's kind of clear what the future interest is. You have to work backwards. So far, we're just going one way, left to right, but sometimes you have to go right to left. And if you don't know the pairing, you're lost. Yes, Courtney. I'd be happy to. And they're here if you want to just reference my writing, right? The present interest is a fee simple. The future interest is the possibility of reverter. You have to memorize those pairings. There's no way around it. Alex.
So, possibility of reverter, do we have to just say possibility of reverter, or is it a future interest?
Look, if you want it, yeah. I mean, look, you're right. Look, when a student gets it wrong, I tell you. When a student gets it right, I tell you. You're right. You corrected it. Good job. Yeah, look, I have to be fair. I mean, it's a very. This is the hardest topic to teach. I think in all of my package, just this topic is without fail the hardest topic. If you get this, you're in really good shape for law school. And not because you ever have to actually use it, right? I mean, this is one of the things people don't get, right? You may spend your entire life never seeing one of these questions ever again. But the act of learning this is training your brain to get something that's really hard. And that's what law school is for. You're not going to remember most of the stuff you learn in law school. I'll just be completely candid. After the bar, it'll be like a toilet just flushing. It'll just vanish, right? Because you'll do criminal law. Maybe you'll do tax law. Maybe you'll do personal injury law, right? You'll never do this ever again. But the sort of struggle to learn this in a compressed fashion under some pressure, to be frank, is what a culture is. It acclimates you to actually becoming an attorney. That's how I think of it, at least. I don't pretend that, and maybe you'll be a trust lawyer, right? Maybe you'll be a trust lawyer, and your entire job will be creating future interest. God bless you, right? Thank you, Professor Blackman, right? But most people will not. There's 8 of you here, maybe 2 will actually use this. But struggling to get this will really tune your brain to be able to figure out whatever comes across your desk, right? And that's the way I look at it. That's why I'd rather you guys screw up here under pressure than screw up in a court, right? Because I'll forget about it next day. I don't remember. I don't write down participation score. It doesn't really matter to me. And he asks you, what are the elements of things, Your Honor? I don't know. Oh, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. And your client's going to say, why am I paying you X dollars? It doesn't work like that, right? You have to have practice like a muscle. I don't know if you're athletes. I'm not. But you have to condition for a race or a sport, right? You can't just like wake up the morning of a race and, oh, I'm going to run a marathon today, right? So you have to train years for it. And if you don't train years for it, then you have to basically, you take a few steps and you're out of breath. So that's what law school is. Law school is getting you ready to think and prepare in that regard. So whether you actually ever use a fee simple, I couldn't care less, right? But getting ready to learn this, that's where the money is. Anyway, I rant over. All right, so Alex has present interest fee simple determinable. Ollie is possibly reverter. Now, I told you with the right of entry, you have to go to court, right? You have to go to court, file a lawsuit, explain, Judge, this is mine, I'm Blackman. And the judge says, yes, it's yours, you get Blackman. It's not automatic. But the possibly reverter is automatic. It determines. The word determine means cut short automatically. That's what the word determine means. The possibly reverter snaps, right? As soon as the condition's violated, Ollie owns Blackacre. Ollie does not need to go to court to retrieve Blackacre. It's his. The fee simple determinable is automatic. So it's a much more violent present interest because there's no going to court, having a judge supervise it. It's automatic. That's why the courts much prefer the fee simple subject to condition subsequent. They like that one better. But this one's very violent. It goes snap real quick. So that's why in the Marinholtz case, which I'll get to in a few minutes, might feel a little bit rushed, but I'll get to it. In the Marinholtz case, it really mattered whether there was a fee simple determinable or a fee simple subject to condition subsequent. If there was a fee simple subject to condition subsequent, there would have to be legal action taken to claim the property. But if there was a fee simple determinable, no legal action would be necessary. All right. Everybody with me? Questions? And if this isn't clicking, go back and rewatch this one on YouTube. I mean, I actually apologize. YouTube was screwing me, so I can't get my usual camera angle. I'm on my other one, but a bit weird camera angle. But fortunately, you can't see at my nose. That's what I used to hate. Like when I had a mask, you'd looking right at my nose with my camera angle. So this actually, this is it for something. All right. What's up, mask? All right. Marinholtz. I see Jay. John. All right, John. Facts and Marinholtz, please.
You have W. and Jim Hutton conveyed 1.5 acres out of their authority to the trustees school or the county board of school trustees to create the Hutton school. He provided that quote the land to be used for school purposes only, otherwise.
Okay, good. Let's just stop there for a second, John. So I have it up on the screen. It says this. I call it school acre because it's not black acre, it's school acre. School acre was to be used for school purposes only. Semicolon. Otherwise, revert to grantors herein. So, John, does it meet into the sort of categories we gave you a few minutes ago?
Yeah.
What kind of a fee is this one? What kind of fee simple is this?
This is a simple subject to possession condition subsequent.
Where do you see a condition?
Feasible determinable.
Where do you see durational words?
Feasible in seconds.
Does this fit into any category you've given me so far?
No, it doesn't.
So this is what happens when people try to draft stuff by themselves, right? If I had to guess, we don't really know. But the Marinholtzes either wrote this themselves or the lawyer didn't pay attention to property class. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. But whoever wrote this didn't know what they were doing. And that creates problems. So is this a fee simple subject to condition subsequent? It doesn't use conditional language, right? There's no provided, however, but if. Is this a fee simple determinable? Well, it doesn't use durational language, like so long as, while, or during. It uses different language. It simply says, to be used for school purposes only, semicolon, otherwise to revert to grantors. Right? Now, why does it matter? I mean, really, do any of us really care what kind of fee interest is? No, none of us actually care. But in this case, it matters significantly. Right? Under the common law rule, you could not convey a reversionary interest inter vivos. Right? You could not convey a right of entry. You could not convey a possibility reverter. You could not. So at this point, Harry, the son, has the reversionary interest, whatever it is, right? So we get to 1977, like 30-something years pass. And Harry, the son, has this reversionary interest. And Harry, it seems like a weird dude. He doesn't really know what's going on, it seems, right? Harry makes 2 transactions. First, he gives all of his interest in the property to Marinholtz. Right? He gives all of his interest in the property to Marinholtz. And then 4 months later, he gives all of his property and the interest to the school district. What the hell? Who is this guy? By the way, this case is being removed from the books. It's my last time teaching, so it's sad. This case I won't miss very much. I don't like. It's a good case, but I won't miss it. Right? So in the span of 4 months, Harry gives his interest both to Marinholtz and to the school district. Now, you can't do both, right? You can't give the same thing to 2 different people. Right? If I have $20 and I give $20 to you and $20 to you, I can't do that, right? I give $20 to one person. So we have to ask ourselves, what interest does he have? Ryan, so let me ask you this, right? Let's say that this was a fee simple subject to a condition subsequent, right? Let's just say option 1. Option 1 is the present interest is a fee simple subject to condition subsequent. What would the future interest be here?
The right of entry.
Right. Harry would have a right of entry. And then, Ryan, what's this right of entry? What do you have to actually do to make that one work?
You have to exercise.
You have to exercise it. Did Harry actually exercise his right of entry?
No.
He did not. So, Ryan, if Harry only had the right of entry, could he have sold it to the Marinholtzes? No, he could not. That's correct. Harry only had a right of entry that he did not exercise. Harry could not sell the right of entry to Marinholtz. Everyone understand that, right? You cannot sell a right of entry because he has not yet exercised it. If he exercised it, then you have a fee simple. You do whatever you want, but he has not exercised it. Everyone get that? Everyone with me? Let's try option number. This is option number 1. Let's try option number 2. Let's say the present interest is a fee simple determinable. Present interest is a fee simple determinable. Marco, what would the future interest be in this case? Correct. A possibility. Harry would have a possibility of reverter. Thank you. Margo, could Harry convey his interest in this case? Why do you say yes? Exactly. Perfect answer. If there's a possibility of reverter, it's automatic. There's no need to go to court. Harry could sell his fee simple in the school acre. Harry could sell his fee simple in the school. So what happens here? Marinholtz wants option 2, right? Marinholtz wants option 2 because then he has a school in fee simple. The school wants option 1, right? Because with option 1, it keeps the school. Again, Marinholtz wants option 2 because he gets fee simple, and the school wants option 1. Helene, what does the court do here? The Supreme Court, the Court of Appeals. Yeah, they want option 2. Why are they with option number 2? Right. The court said that the word only is durational. I don't know if that's correct. Right? I'm not even sure that's correct. I have no idea what the right answer here is. But what I do know is the word reverts. I know the word reverts. And what does revert closer to, Helene? The word revert is over here, right? What does that remind you of reverts? What future interest does that remind you of in this case? What's the future interest that matches the possible with a fee simple determinable? Margo said it a minute ago. Yeah. When you see the word reverse, what does that remind you of? And what's the precedent that matches with a possible reverter? There you go. Thank you very much. You see how that works, right? Before it worked backwards. The word revert is there, right over here, revert. And you say, well, that's kind of like possibility reverter. And if we know the future interest of possibility reverter, we know the present interest is a fee simple determinable. What did I tell you? You have to work backwards sometimes. And by the way, this is why I kept telling you don't say reverts back to. It was this case I had in mind. Do not say revert back to, they'll screw you up on this one. So my warnings from like a week ago were now starting to make sense. I know the court's right here. I think the court it's probably the better interpretation, but we don't know. I would probably get off the trial court. I think actually I would have done this the other way. I've done a fee simple subject condition subsequent, but I get it. Someone's gonna ask Josh in the exam, what do? I go either way. I'd accept either answer. If I gave you a question like this, defend it and I'll give you credit. Right? I think actually otherwise is actually conditional language. That's how I would read it. I think otherwise is like kind of a condition, this or that, right? If this or that, that's how otherwise I read it, but I go either way. So as a consequence, there was no need for Harry to go to court, and Harry conveyed basically a fee simple to Marinholtz. And then there's disputes about whether, there was actually whether condition was violated. Using for storage was apparently a school purpose, go figure. But that came after the fact. So here the court said this language is consistent with a fee simple determinable, followed by possibility of reverter. Understood? All right. I have a chart. I don't like the chart. Some students like it. And I usually let you guys fill it in, but I don't have time to do that today, so I'm going to fill it in for you. We only have a few minutes left. It might go a few minutes over. I apologize. But this is not my fault. My other class, by the way, finished on time the other day. Finished right on time. All right. So we have this chart. There's a similar chart in your book. It's not perfect. It's going to confuse in some regards, but it might help some students. So I'll give it to you. So far, we've done 4 types of present interest. The fee simple, the life estate, the fee simple determinable, and the fee simple subject to condition subsequent. We've done those 4. You'll do on Tuesday of next week, the fee simple subject executory interest. So we have to define each present interest. What's the duration of a fee simple? Forever. Lasts forever. With a fee simple, who has the present interest? A's heirs. So for example, to A and his heirs. A and his heirs. Each interest belongs to A's heirs. And again, you decide who your heirs are. Okay, that's the first one. That's the easy one. Let's try life estate. Okay, and we'll try it like this. A for life, then to B and its heirs. A for life, then to B and its heirs, right? What's the duration of this estate? The life of A. What's the future interest? A remainder in fee simple. Actually, I say B has remainder in fee simple. Why? Future interest follows a natural termination of life estate, goes to a third party. I can give you a different example. A for life period. A for life period. Here we have B has reversion in the, instead of B, O. So O is reversion in fee simple. Getting with reversion, future interest follows natural termination, goes back to the grantor. right? But it gets even more messy than this. Remainders can be contingent, or they can be vested, right? Remainders can be contingent, or they can be vested. The example I gave you here is actually a vested remainder. Modify your chart, right? It's actually a vested remainder, for example. Why is it vested? There's no condition precedent, and B is ascertained. I know your head's hurting, right? It's a vested remainder. I'll give you another example with a contingent remainder. Right? From O to A for life and to A's children. Here we have A's children. I'll tell you that A is one child. But this chart's not very helpful, but I'm giving it to you anyway. A is one child. So A's children here would have a vested remainder subject to open. Because there's one ascertained child, the class can expand. I could say that, so the chart looks great to actually start filling it out. I could say A has no children, right? In which case, we say that A's children have a contingent remainder. I mean, look at this. So you have 1, 2, 3 types of remainders we've learned, plus the reversion. And this is in the class doc, so if you need to go back to this later to copy it, you can do it. I need to just move because we have a few minutes left. And we're going to go over, I'm sorry. If you need to leave, you can go. Right? This is all following a life estate. Again, all this is following a life estate. You are almost always going to have, after a life estate, the remainder reversion. If the present interest is not a life estate, these are all out. Again, if the present interest is not a life estate, you're not going to have remainder, you're not going to have reversion. I'm warning you very carefully because a lot of you will get this wrong for the midterm. All right, then we have new material. We have the stuff we learned today. We have the fee simple determinable. From O to school, so long as Blackacre is used for school purposes. From O to school, so long as Blackacre is used for school purposes. Okay. What's the duration? So long as the condition is satisfied, and you'll use words like while, during, until, so on. Okay. What's the future interest that follows a fee simple determinable? O has a possibility of reverter in fee simple. Oops, reverter. O has a possibility of reverter in fee simple. Okay. And one important point, the fee simple determinable is automatic. It executes, I'm sorry, that's the other word. It determines automatically. There's no need to go to court. And then we have the last one, the fee simple subject condition subsequent. O to school, but if Blackacre is used for residential purposes, comma, O has a right to reenter. Okay. What's the duration? It's conditional language. For example, but if, provided, however, on the condition that, etc. What's the future interest called? A right of entry in fee simple. Okay, and this is not automatic. You need to go to court to exercise your right of entry. Whew. We're out of time. Go back and look at this chart very carefully. You should be able to fill in this chart by yourself. In other words, if I gave you this chart with the third column blank, you should be able to fill in the future interest for each present interest. Or if I gave you this chart with both the first and third columns blank, you should be able to fill them in. In other words, if I only gave you this, right, you should be able to fill in the other columns from memory. That's the way to test yourself. Just take this chart with only the last column visible and see if you can fill it in by yourself. By the way, I'm going to start class on Tuesday by asking you to fill in this chart as I put it up here. All right? I'll be in my office. If you have questions, please come by. Otherwise, enjoy your weekend. I'll see you on Tuesday.